the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks, or the EVPs as I like to call them, versus Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. It's cool. There was a lot of fun stuff. There was a cool, I do like, here's one thing that I do appreciate about the flips and shits, especially in this match, is when everyone can do their one thing that leads into the other and they're all dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're all laying there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you know what I say, in this style of match, you got to get the timing right. All of these folks typically get the timing right. Right? I'll say that. They're really good at that. I will say, and I don't remember exactly where when you were threading, at which point in the show you were talking about the false finish.
That's where it gets lost on me. It was, I believe,
was it this match?
Fletcher. Oh, yes, it was 100% this match. But it was
right before the finish, when then they come in. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was a spike pile driver on the outside. Yep. And then it was also Matt Jackson. Not that Nick Jackson stopped the count, because that's one thing also. In a tag match, you can kind of get away with, right? Hey, we would have finished him, but Nick Jackson hit me in the head, and now, Right, but Matt Jackson was just
it wasn't a kick
straight
out.
Up. Right. Matt Jackson, though, straight up kicked out twice, 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
And I was just like...
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the spot right before the BTE trigger being the thing where it was like, oh man, what a spot, great timing, and then they kicked out, and then they rolled in and did the BTE trigger. It literally felt like Hogan must pose. It literally felt like the Young Bucks were like, no, we need to end with the BTE trigger, right? Like,
and that's
we've got to do that.
Just,
it's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, and that's great, but just then don't do the pin.
Don't
right?
do the big spot before that, right? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, I'm saying,
but that's what I mean. It felt like somebody worked out the match and they were like, all right, we'll do it, but at the end, you kick out and then we'll do the BT trigger. And they're like, all right, fine, whatever. I'm just conjecturing. I don't know. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it did feel like it. But the way this match does end is there's a lull in the action. Don Callis, who was on commentary, gives a screwdriver to Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher goes,
it was this spot here. Cool. Yeah. Uh-huh.
He goes, no, this would be cool. Let's do this. And so Kyle Fletcher gets in the ring, and he's about to hit old EVP1 in the head. And Will Ospreay says, no, we don't do that. And then the EVP said, what we do, fucking whop in the head with the title belt, whop in the head with the other one.
So
and
let
there
me
you
hit
go.
my part harder, because this is the spot I was talking about. And now I remember it better, and thanks. So Don Callis gives him the thing. Kyle Fletcher's like, all right, I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to stab this. You know it's not coming when they hold it like they're going full stab, right? So bad spot there. But right, he's like, I'm going to puncture this guy live on television. I mean, this isn't Nick fucking Gage here. So he's got that, and Will Ospreay stops him like the kid in school who reminds the teacher they forgot to assign the homework, gives it to the referee, right? Doesn't like, nerd. Yeah. And so like he does that, and then because of that, in comes the belt at play. Oh, you didn't want to cheat? Well, guess who will? The Young Bucks. And even then, they missed the first time, right? So they give you the false finish of, oh, it cost you. But then, oops, throw it to the other guy. Now he hits you. It did cost you. So now that should have ended the fucking, because that was the story you were telling. He went to cheat. He stopped him to be the good cop, and he got cost the match because of it. But no, they still had him kick out, even though you did a false finish into the real finish. Then you had him kick out just for them to do the BTE trigger. That's where I was like, this is too much, guys.
Yeah.
It's too much. And that's where the flippy shit style comes at me sometimes. I'm like, it's too much. I really enjoy the flippy shit. But when you give me 4 the same fucking spot in the same match, like, you lost me.
Well, I would even make that a little bit bigger of a point. That's where, and again, I'm going to sound like get off my lawn and whatever. That's where this era of wrestling, what I'm saying is you're going more flips and shit. I'm saying the whole industry is in an indictment because everyone does it, right? Seth Rollins does the curb stomp, and then that gets a 2 count. And then Cody Rhodes does one, whatever the fuck he calls it, right? Crossroads.
Yeah,
and
finishers don't mean anything anymore.
So then, fuck that shit.
There is no finishers. There are no finishers.
Yeah, there's really. Well, not anymore. There was one that always worked, and that was the Outsider's Edge. Razor Ramon or Scott Hall's fucking powerbomb version.
But in this day and age, you can't count on any finisher in a match. Like, I don't see you do a thing and I'm like, that's it. We're done here. You just can't. You can't do it anymore.
You should.
But you should. But you should. Yeah.
And again, it's
better storytelling if you do.
And technically, the one-winged angel has never been kicked out of, but yes, it has. Because if you forget the death match with him and John Moxley actually does kick out. But I digress. So I will say Kenny Omega does it a little bit. But what I was going to say is, I'm okay with the finisher being kicked out of in a tag match where someone stops it, right? Oh, they had you.
Yeah.
But fine. I'm okay with that. But if it's a one-on-one, and I know this was a tag match, but generally speaking, if it's a one-on-one, get the fuck out of here. I don't, nope. Can't do it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. A little too much on that. But again, the spots were there. The timing was good with those guys. They did tell the story in there. We are still slow rolling the Don Callis family thing.
Here's my, and I'm splitting hairs here. I thoroughly enjoyed the match. It's, again, we're doing a podcast. If we just said everything is great all the time and listen this way, and we just fucking ended the podcast, that's not interesting. So I'm splitting hairs here. But this is, Don Callis has a thing, right? So he used the screwdriver to fucking hit Kenny Omega in the head when he turned on him, right? And John Moxley beat Kenny Omega. And ever since then, he's gave it to Will Ospreay. Nope, he messes up. He gives it to Kyle Fletcher by himself. Nope, he messes up. He gives it to Kyle Fletcher in a tag match. Well, no, Will Ospreay says no. He gives it to Takeshita. That's like, fucking, are you smart? Are your guys just not paying attention?
Will Ospreay did that thing like that one commercial where the basketball guy was like, no, it was out on me, coach. I'm going to tell the ref. Like,
side note
this
on
guy's
that,
ass.
One thing that I learned, because a lot of my coworkers are Indian, from India, and cricket is their number one sport. In cricket, they have integrity. They have an integrity rule where, for example, if the
if you knew it was off you or whatever it was,
and you were like, hey, it was, and then they check it and you're like, okay, you were right. Like, if they called it out and you're like, you know what, it was actually in, and they check it and you're like, you're right, you get a point. You don't get a touchdown like in football, but you get a point. So just saying, maybe, help out this deteriorating fucking society in America. But I digress. Don Callis, though. What the hell? We're doing this.
I don't know if there's any help left, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But Don Callis, we're doing the same thing. You're using the same weapon. It'd be one thing if we're like, hey, the screwdriver didn't work, so let's use keys.
It's weird because I love Don Callis, and I say more Don Callis.
But he's using the same thing every time.
Do something new. Yeah, do something new.
So here's a question.
And I thought the scar was supposed to keep growing. I thought that thing was gonna get all the way down the back of the neck at some point.
Yeah, well, we got time. He ain't dead yet.
Still could. That screwdriver, we could rip that thing back open.
Here's my question out of this. So I will throw it to you. You threw it to me about Hook. I will throw it to you. EVPs are your tag champs. They beat FTR. They beat the Acclaimed. They just beat Ospreay and Fletcher. Who are you going with now?
It's the motherfucking Outrunners.
Now, are you saying they beat them?
Oh, I mean, look, no, I wouldn't say today that Outrunners are like, let's give them the title on next Dynamite or something, right? But let's work a story and see how they handle it, right? And see how it goes and see if we got something. I'm a little worried this gets real sticky and old, too, if they don't show that they can, keep coming up with ways to keep it fresh, right?
You with the son of a bitch. I love that. You son of a bitch.
They very well might. I'm not saying it, you know what I mean? It's doomed for failure. I'm just saying I need to see what happens when they need the next catchphrase or the next, you know what I mean, twist on it, right? And we have yet to see that. But other than that, I mean, if you're not going with, the grizzled young veterans, you've done everybody.
Yeah. Unless, we saw them later on in the night, but if the broken hand unlocks some fucking thing of their personality and Private Party says we're done with the fucking glitz and glamour, maybe that,
or
because they've already beat them in the past.
Your nightmare comes true and it's old Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin taking on.
Oh, well.
Is Cedric Alexander out yet? Is he out of WWE now? I don't remember like who's out. I know Lash is out. Benjamin. I know MVP's out.
And Shelton Benjamin. But Cedric Alexander is still there, I think.